All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. There may be a couple more people that join us. As a reminder, because it's a webinar, you're on mute, and I encourage you to use the chat feature as you have questions as we head through the webinar. Tom will be monitoring the chat feature, and Harold will kind of let people in as they arrive, and both of them will, if they'll kind of chime in if I missed anything or they want to provide any more details than we have any more details that I didn't talk about. All right, I'm going to do this a little differently. Some of you, I can see, some of you have attended an EDS webinar from me before, but I'm going to do this one a little differently than I've ever done before. So I'm going to really divide it into two sections. I'm going to do it in this section that's shorter, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, which is the general. The things that if you visit EDS, you see, your client sees where they navigate, kind of the first things that happen. Then I'm going to go to really the advanced skills beyond that. We're going to go a little bit slower, and we're going to really do a deep dive on the advanced skills so that you kind of earn your black belt in EDS by the end of it. All right, so let's talk about exhibit design search on a big picture. So on a big picture, all EDS is, it's a database. It's just a big-ass database of over 1,500 designs, 9,000 photos, and like 84 articles about trade show marketing. It's a database. Now, it's an outwardly facing database, obviously organized, outwardly facing database. And part of that outwardly facing means that both you can use it and your client can use it as well because the prices are in retail. All right, I'm going to shift over to my screen so we can see EDS here. All right, are we good, guys? Are we seeing the classic EDS website?
Thumbs up.
All right, great. All right, so as I said, it's an outwardly facing website. There are 32 galleries within EDS. And those 32 galleries are divided really into two major categories. The one category is things of a certain size, like islands, inlines, 10-foot exhibits, 20-foot exhibits, tabletops, those kind of things. Or they're divided into product groups, like rental, ecosystem, sustainable exhibits, counters, charging stations, and etc. Now, within the 32 galleries that are there, 26 of those galleries are classic galleries, but there are 6 galleries that are non-classic galleries. And on those particular galleries, those are ones that you would order those products directly from the supplier who maintains those galleries on EDS. So how do you know which galleries are which? Well, there are 4 other suppliers who participate in EDS, and they are Display Supply and Lighting, which has 1, Brumark, which has 1 gallery, CORT has 2 galleries, and Optima has 2 galleries. So in order to make it easy for you, and remember if I said this is an outwardly facing site, and it's also a site where we try to hide the suppliers. So we try to limit the visibility of that. This is a classic tool, particularly on both the unbranded and the branded websites, and we'll get to that. But what we did is we provided you a nice little cheat sheet so you know which galleries are from which manufacturer. So if you look at the bottom and you look at lighting, it has a little code in parentheses DS. That's Display Supply and Lighting. Flooring is BR, that's Brumark. The 2 rental furniture galleries are CORT. And then there are 2 Optima galleries, tension fabric pop-ups, and banner stands, table photos, and outdoor displays, OT. Every other gallery within exhibit design search is a classic exhibits gallery. All right. So when you first enter EDS for the first time, your client enters EDS for the first time, they're going to do a certain predictable things. If they're looking for a 10 by 10 exhibits, we've organized it to make it easy for them to find 10 by 10 exhibits and find them within a certain price point. So they can use these quick click buttons, look for a 10 by 10 within a certain price point. They can do the same thing within a 10 by 20 or an island. Or let's say they're looking for a certain type of product, like they're looking for rental furniture or light boxes or tabletops. They can use any of these quick clicks and it will do a search and it will find those products for them. Now, the reality is those are big gigantic searches. So when you click on anything, it's going to take everything within that category and it's not going to refine it. It's just a big dump, but it's a convenient place for people to go through the very first time. The other thing is they're likely to click on exhibit specials, and exhibit specials is just a lot of products that we put on sale or promotional priced of some kind that lasts for 2 months, and it always has the time frame there of what they are and the time frame. And then there's lightning deal, and a lightning deal is actually just one product, just like a lightning deal anywhere else, any other website. It's one product that's aggressively priced for 2 weeks. All right. So the other thing from a big picture that they're going to look at is, let's say they go into a gallery and they see a gallery and they go into a random kit. If they go into a random kit, they're going to see renderings from various angles. They're going to see the retail price. In this case, it has both a purchase and a rental price, and we're going to cover that here in just a little bit. Then they're going to see a series of bullet points on there that really talk about what's included, what's not included on that particular product. On most of the kits as well, there's audio buttons. There's like an audio button where you can get like a 45-second clip about that particular design, or there's a video. There's not a video on every one, but I would say about 3/4 of the designs that are out there, there is a video that actually talks about a feature, or again, talks about that particular kit as well. And there is downloadable unbranded literature on there. That's a PDF. If you click on that, you can download that particular literature. And again, as a reminder, all the prices within EDS are retail prices. So the prices that you can use EDS, depending on, regardless of which EDS you use, you can use EDS and show those directly to your clients. All right, so those are kind of the big picture things. So let's go back to the home and let's start to do a deeper dive really into the more advanced skills. So one of the things that's important to understand is really there's 4 flavors of EDS. There is EDS on the classic exhibit site, which you see here, that has classic branding, and many distributors use the classic EDS just for convenience. It's easy to go to the classic site and go there and find the products that are on there. Or there are branded EDS sites that the distributor has chosen to have their brand, their logo, their phone number, their contact information, and there's a lot of different kind of specialized features that happen on a branded site that are tailored toward that distributor, which is like modified prefixes, contact information that goes directly to them, just a whole lot of things. If you're interested in a branded EDS site, talk to us after this webinar, to Tom or Jen or Harold or myself. We're happy to kind of go over the cost for a branded site and really what those features are. The next is there are 2 unbranded sites, which means they don't have any branding other than EDS. And one of them is exhibit-design-search.com. So remember that email address, that URL. So exhibit-design-search.com. And the other one, which is pretty much identical, is let me go back to the home of that page, is exhibit-design-search.com. So this one doesn't have the dashes, this one has the dashes. There's only one difference between those two. The one with dashes has prices, and the one without dashes has no prices on it. And distributors can choose which one they want to work. 99% of distributors choose the one with prices because they're in retail, and it's just easier for all of us, your client, for you, to know what the prices are of a particular design. All right. So I'm going to kind of work from the unbranded site today. So one of the things that we're going to go over is the search tool. So the search tool has 2 facets. It has your kind of basic search that you're seeing here. And one of the great things about simply putting something in the search, and I'm going to put in the kit number, and put in GK-2005. You'll notice that a bunch of other kits came up when you put that in, and those are related or associated kits to that GK2005. It's a great way of seeing, oh, that particular one looks like they have a couple 10 by 10s that are also very similar to that one. There's some other 20-foot inlines that are similar, and there are 4 rental that are complementary to those purchase kits out there. So that is a really interesting tool. If you haven't ever used it, when you put that kit number, it'll show you associated or related kits. But the really most powerful tool within the search is if you click on Advanced Search. If you've never clicked on Advanced Search, I would encourage you to do so. The great thing about Advanced Search is that it allows you to change the price range, so you can modify whatever you want the price range to be. You can choose to include rentals in your search or not include rentals in your search. And the reason you would or wouldn't want to include rentals is that if someone is searching, for instance, between a price range of, let's say, $7,000 and $14,000, and we'll do that here in just a second, and you include rentals, and the client is really just looking for a purchase display, it can really kind of screw their mind up, because they'll see all these kits within there that look like they're more elaborate kits in the purchase, but they're rentals and they won't know it's a rental. So it's often more helpful to search for purchases separately than rentals. But if you want to include them, there's an easy way to do it. You simply click that particular box and you can do that. Below that, it gives you the option of searching by sizes, and it's not just sizes 10 by 10, 10 by 20. You can search through all of these different items: outdoor displays, meeting pods, lighting, hand sanitizer solution. There's a lot of ways to search on there. You can also do a text search either by kit or by any kind of text, because what it's doing is it's searching for the text that's listed in the bullets or the description of that particular product, and it's going to find that within those kits. Now, what you see below here, remember I said there are 32 galleries within Exhibit Design Search, and this shows those 32 galleries. By default, it goes to exhibit. In other words, purchase exhibit, it's going to click all of those and make those active. But you can decide, really, I just want to search through contemporary office or retail solutions, and obviously we had a lot of that during the pandemic. People looking for sanitizer stands, for safety dividers, for office solutions. Or you can simply decide to search through rentals, and that's going to include not only rental displays, but rental furniture within the CORT gallery. Or you can check everything or uncheck everything. These are just easy ways to go through it. If you uncheck all, then you can individually click on different galleries that you want to search through. All right, so let's do an example. Let's do one where we're going to do it between 7,000, let's say 14,000. We're not going to include rentals. We're going to do a 10 by 20 display, and we're going to sort it. We're going to continue to sort it by booth size, as opposed to newest designs alphabetically, lowest to highest or highest to lowest. And when we do that, and we do the search, all right, what we got here, it's moving a little slow, unfortunately, right now. I don't know why. All right, there we go. Oops, I did something wrong here. Let's try again. It lost the search, so let's try again. 7 to 14. And just 10 by 20 within there. And let's do the search again. Oh, it did it automatically. All right, so what came up? There's 68 designs, and as you scroll through the 68 designs, one of the things you may notice is, oh, it included pop-ups in there, and your client may not be interested in a pop-up. So what do? You're going to go back to the categories, and you're going to say, my client doesn't want pop-ups included in there, so I'm going to uncheck those. Then I'm going to hit the search again, and we go from 68 designs to 46. Now that's much more manageable than the 68 that you had before. But if you want to further refine it, let's say you know that you're looking for that, and you wonder if any of these have light boxes, and you type in light box, then do the search again. And now we're down to 4 designs within that. Now keep in mind, each time we're further refining it. You can add other terms in there. You could add counters, you could add wireless charging, you could add multiple qualifiers within there, and each time it's going to look for those terms within it. Now, it may mean that it's not Lightbox plus charger plus this. It's just going to look for Lightbox and it's going to look for chargers, because it's going to show you all of those. Let's go back to the home page. And let's talk about P5D and what P5D is. So past 5 days. Back in 2006, 2007, we decided that it would be a good idea to start showing projects that are going through production in Add Classic. Now, we take photos of every single job you send to us, and we put those photos within the folder, but we make a decision every single day to highlight one of the projects going through our particular shop. And keep in mind, these are all shop photos. Occasionally, we'll have one from the show if someone is kind enough to be able to send us one from the show so we can add it, but basically shop photos. So we take one photo a day and we highlight that photo within P5D. What does that mean? That means we have literally thousands and thousands of photos, because we've been doing it since 2000, late 2006, or yeah, actually 2006 is when we started doing it. So thousands and thousands of photos. Now, obviously, it was a bit of a struggle during the pandemic to put photos up every single day, because we didn't have projects going up every day. But here in the last month or so, we've been much better about being able to get those out there. Now, one of the great things about P5D is that you can search by weeks. You can search by all weeks. You can view by week, meaning that you can go back. If you know that you had a project that went through back in April, the week of ending 4/10, you can search through it back through that particular week. Or you can simply, if you want to scroll back and see what's happening in any of those weeks. And within that, obviously, you can also search randomly if you want to. I added this actually for my own amusement. If you click on the random, it will just randomly go through the photos within there, and it will show you projects that we've done. All right. So if we go back to search all weeks, the nice thing about search all weeks, it also has a text search. So when it says a text search, that you can search by kit, you can search by job number, you can search by feature within there. So if, for instance, I'm going to go back, let's do this. Oops, I'm still on random. So let me go search by weeks. Let me reset it. Okay, baby, come on. There we go. I need to hit. There we go. All right, so you'll notice that it's doing a search. So let's do a search simply by size. Let's do a search by size. When I'm saying size, it'll give you all kinds of sizes within there. I'm going to do it by the term custom and submit that. So what it's doing, it's going through the description and all of those that are out there and looking for the word custom within it. So you can see all those projects that are out there within the custom. You'll notice within that that it also lists the job number on there. That job number is very helpful for us internally, because when someone's looking at a particular kit or they're looking for photos, we can go into P5D and look that job up. If it's in P5D, by that particular kit number. All right. Now, one of the cool things about P5D too is you'll notice there's a link. There's My Gallery. So when I click on My Gallery, what it's going to start to do is populate. I had 3 items in My Gallery already, so let's start to populate My Gallery. I'm going to add items to My Gallery. So you're starting to add photos into a separate database, a shareable gallery that you can send to the client. And so looking in there, that helps you get started on it. All right, let's go back to the home page. We're going to get back to My Gallery in a second, so I'm going to show you how to really maximize that. First of all, let's go back into modern inline displays again. I'm going to show you one of the really coolest things that I like about what we've done with EDS over the years. Is one of the things we have here is something that I call corner clues. Corner clues. The corner clues allow you, if you're in a gallery, to easily see that these particular ones, for instance, are backlit, There are some that you'll see, and you see this little box here that has the arrow going both directions. That tells you at a glance that this is a particular kit that is modular, that there's probably a 10 by 20 version. There may be an island version of that one. So it's an easy way to identify if your client says, you know, we're going to a variety of shows, we've got to be able to change our particular design from an inline to an island. What do you have available that allows me to do it with these particular features? This is a really easy way to kind of go through quickly and see which ones have that feature without having to go into every single kit and see if it actually has the modular capability. The other thing that you'll see on these corner clues is rental. So any kit that we have translated over into the rental gallery that we've priced already as a rental is going to pop up here. So again, not every single one here has that rental. Now, you may see a design in here and decide, I'd love to have it as a rental, and I encourage you to reach out to the rental team and see if they're willing to add it to their inventory. And most likely they are, but the ones you're seeing right here are the ones that we pre-selected that are part of rental. So let's go into a particular kit. Let's go into BK1334, right? So as I said before, this particular one, this is VK1334. It does have a rental option. And within that, it's going to show you the purchase price in retail again, and it's also going to show you the rental price. Now, the rentals work differently, as I said earlier, than they do the purchase in the sense that it's going to give you two prices. It's going to give you the 4042. That's the rental price of the hardware, and below it is 2358, and that's the price of the graphics. The reason that's important, which I think most of you already know, but the reason it's important is that when the client comes to you and says, I need to rent this for multiple shows, you can then tell them, yes, it's going to cost you $40.42 plus $23.58 for the very first show. The next show, should you choose to use the very same graphics, is only going to cost $40.42 because you own the graphics, but you rent the hardware. Now, below that, obviously, we've talked about the bullets and the information that is in the bullets there, but one of the things that's on there are those links, again, to other kits that are associated or related kits. So that's the rental kit, that's the island, and that's the inline that we spoke about that this particular arrow right here shows you the corner click. So you see up here, there's also within there a link that says see photo examples. If you click on photo examples, it's going to take you to a search of that kit, and it's going to show you a photo or photos of that kit where we've already built it. Now, we may have built this kit many more times than you're seeing in P5D, but you're seeing the examples that we added to P5D. One of the great things about that I showed you earlier is that, again, you can add that to My Gallery. And even within that, obviously, you can do additional searches. You can click on the links that are in there. It can take you back. So let's go back here. There's a couple of the things that you may not have used within a product, specific product section in the past. One of those is print. Now, I use this a lot. I don't know if you've ever used it as a distributor. You may have thought, what is that for? Is what it does is if you've ever printed something from your browser and it's perfectly formatted on your screen, but when you print it, it prints out on 4, 5, 6 pages. It's not formatted, it's messy, it's not presentation worthy. If you click on the print button, that will perfectly format that particular page for you on 1 or 2 pages. Let's let the is going to cancel out of the actual print screen. So it's going to perfectly format for you. So when it prints, you can use it either for yourself. You need a reference, maybe you need a paper copy, a reference of what you have, or you're printing it because you want to be able to give a hard copy to your client itself. Now, one of the other things that are on here that I don't think people use very often is at the bottom, there is this link. It's called the permanent link to this design. As you can see, it has that URL. Now you have two choices if you want to send a link to your client of just this particular kit. Obviously, you can highlight the URL, but that's a search URL, and it's big, it's messy, it's kind of awkward to look at when you put it in an email. And honestly, that, because it's a search email, it changes over time. But this particular link doesn't change. It is a permanent link to this particular kit from this particular version of EDS. So the easiest way to do it is if you click on that link, it's going to translate that URL to the URL up in the search bar up there, and then you can highlight it and actually then send that URL to your client. All right, so let's skip over to the tabs. In addition to the details, let's look at the specs tab. Within the specs tab, you've got the PDF for the setup instructions, which you can click on and download the PDF for the setup instructions. You've also got the PDF for the graphic DIMs on there. Below there, you have FAQs for this particular product or these line of products, the product warranty, which is really the only place that you're going to see on a consistent basis the classic name, and that's because we're the folks who warrant the product. Then you've got information about lead time, exhibit weight, and electrical and cord management within there. You're going to use the details tab and the specs tab most often. If when you go to the specs tab and it says request setup instructions or request graphic DIMs, that doesn't mean that we don't have those. It just means they haven't been loaded to EDS. So simply send an email to projects@Classic Exhibits. And typically within a couple hours or, by the end of the day, they will send you those instructions or those graphic DIMs so that you have them. And typically when they do that, then they'll let me know too, and we'll upload them. We'll bring that kit up to date as far as the setup or the instructions. All right. Let's go back to the home page. And I'm going to show you one of the other menu items that I think is really, really important, and that's trade show tips. So trade show tips is, as I said before, it's a database of 84 articles about show regulations, marketing, design, logistics, and a wide range of other topics. So why is this important? Why is that database of information important? Well, it's important, I think, not only for you as an expert within the industry and being able to share information and point your clients to articles about topics that they're interested in and that they need to learn from. But in addition, we use that tool, and I would encourage you to use that tool anytime you have a new employee that starts at your company and they don't know anything about exhibits or displays or trade shows or the exhibition industry at all. Send them to this site and say, take the next 2 days and read every single article within this database, and on every single one, jot down, even in bullet form, 5 things you learned from that site. I can guarantee you that they will come up to speed so much faster simply by going through this tutorial, going through those articles, than they would trying to discover these things on their own. And they're all very, very short articles. I'm going to show you some examples. For example, let's go into standard US booth regulations and types. We all get that question. New people don't understand, as far as trade shows, that there are rules and regulations for most trade shows in North America. Now, we can argue those are silly regulations, that line of sight, or what can be included and what you can and can't do on a peninsula. But these are the standard regulations. This is a good one if you're dealing with a new client and they're like, okay, so what can I do? What can I do? You can send them this article. And the way to do that, this also has a My Gallery link. So if you click on that My Gallery link, it's now populated within My Gallery, right? Let's go to a couple articles that I think are really helpful as well, some examples. So how about 10 common trade show myths? That trade show marketing is just simply marketing. If you look through it, well, it's kind of specialized marketing, and they need to, your client needs to understand that maybe what they've done for other forms of marketing doesn't apply specifically to what they're doing on trade shows, and that talks a little bit about that. So you can add that to My Gallery. How about 13 common trade show mistakes that people make? We all know you can spend a lot of money going to trade shows and make a lot of mistakes before you're ever successful. So why not learn and why not overcome those mistakes as quickly as possible before the first show, hopefully, but if not, within the first show or two, so that you can be successful. Because if they're successful, they're going to continue to go to trade shows. So let's add that one to my gallery. Let's go back to, let's add one more article that I think is a good article to add. Everybody wants to save money. So how about how to cut your trade show cost, part 1, part 2, and part 3? Well, let's just add this very first one on here and add it to my gallery. And the last one I would suggest is literally the way the market is going right now, any of these articles about rental displays, because clients do not understand what it means to have a rental display, what their responsibility are, what the advantages are of having a rental display, and really even the opportunity of combining purchase with rental, which a lot of people don't talk about, but we're seeing that a lot at Classic right now. People are renting part of their booth, purchasing part of their booth in order to maximize their investment long term. All right. Now we're going to get to my gallery finally. All right. So let's go to my gallery. In my opinion, my gallery is the single most powerful tool within EDS. It's the tool that if you're not using it on a consistent basis, it's an efficient use of exhibit design search. So what we've done as we've gone through EDS is we've started to build a gallery of design that you're going to send to a client, or you're simply going to save for yourself in some way. So we've added designs up here. We've added photos and we've added articles. So let's say one of the photos you don't want, you can simply click on it and remove it on there without having to recreate the design. Now, what it's doing is it's building these designs in here for you so that you can do something very convenient. When you click on Send My Selections, what it's doing is it's building a unique URL, exhibitdesignsearch.com, my gallery view, and then those numbers, that's a unique URL to that particular design. Now you notice this one was built in Exhibit Design Search, so at the front end of it has Exhibit Design Search. But let's go to a branded site and go to that My Gallery on that one. In that one, when you see my selections, on a branded one, it's building that URL based on their Exhibit Design Search website. So designsearch.totaldisplays.com, my gallery, and then that particular number. So it's always building it off. It's always doing it so that it's redirecting them back to your website and back to your EDS, whether it's an unbranded one or it's a branded one or it's classic, they're unique URLs. On this particular one, what you're going to do is you would take that URL, you would copy it, and then you would paste it into your email program and you would send it to your client. Now, one of the things that happens within my gallery is that whether it's external in that you're sending it to your client, or in fact, you're creating a my gallery and sending it to our design team, is either you're showing them specific kits, but I'll tell you what happens probably 50% of the time. Your client has said they want a light box, they want workstations, they want hand sanitizer stands. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, I've built this my gallery and it doesn't look exactly, this kit doesn't look exactly like you want. But imagine the light box from this kit, the workstation from this kit, and the hand sanitizer from this kit. Then we're going to combine all those together so you get the look you want. That's very helpful when you're sending it to our design team as well. It just shortens their understanding, their learning curve as far as what you want. Plus, it allows them to tap into existing kits and make those modifications based on those particular kits. The other thing that you're doing with P5D is when you're sending them photos, you're sending them photos, and I don't think it's as important that the photos show that the kit has been built, because we can build everything in EDS. What's important is you're showing them how others have designed graphics on that particular configuration. So why is that important? It's important because we all know that we're dealing with graphic designers. Their world is on the web, their world is in print. And occasionally, and sometimes for the very first time, some of these designers are designing on a three-dimensional really screen or three-dimensional structure. And they think they can translate what they did on the screen and what they did on print into that particular structure. And we know it doesn't translate. It can't happen. It doesn't work. So when you use P5D, one of the things you might want to do, obviously being, kind of tactful, is here's a good example, and maybe here's not a good example, because we're not qualifying what goes on P5D as far as the quality of someone's graphic, but you can use that collective database of photos to educate your client on what works and what doesn't work. All right. Now, one of the things that I think is really, really helpful, and earlier today, in this particular one, in the one without prices, I created a My Gallery. And I sent that gallery to myself. All right, so I'm gonna open Outlook here, and then I'm going to come on. All right. So what I did is I didn't write a note. I just created it, and then what I did is I put a subject line: awesome designs, articles, and photos, and I opened this up. And here's that link to that gallery, okay? So when I click on that link, it's going to open up their browser, and it's going to show them exactly what I created for them. Now, here's the really, really, really cool part about that. Let's say your client says, for instance, or you say, let's say you say, I'm going to remove this one. You remove that, and then they refresh their page. And you can see it removed that for them. And what they can do is they can take that, copy to My Gallery, they can create their own gallery, copy to My Gallery, and then they can start making edits too. But this is a live URL that if you make changes on your end for them, if they say, okay, I got your URL, but I don't really like this one and this one, I'm looking for something else. You can say, hold on, give me 5 minutes, keep that URL. I'm going to delete the ones you don't like, and I'm going to add 5 that I think you will like, and then just simply refresh your browser, and suddenly they have the new look of things that you have sent them. All right. That to me is pretty amazing. That's pretty effective tool to use them in real time to engage them as far as making a decision as quickly as possible. All right. Now, one of the things about EDS is that it really is saving your gallery in 2 ways. It's saving your gallery as a cookie on your computer, and it's saving it on our server as a URL. Our server meaning a random server that's out there that we control. Now, when it gets saved to the server, that is good for like 3 to 4 months. All right, so you can take that URL. You can feel pretty rest assured that that URL is going to be good for about 3 to 4 months. But what happens is these build up, and occasionally we have to wipe the server out there so we can start it again. But what you want to do, because what happens on a cookie is when you go to clear My Gallery and start to build another gallery, it's going to wipe out that cookie. What you want to do is you want to take that URL, copy and paste it into another document like WordPad, so that you have a copy of that URL that you can refer back to, especially if you're getting requests. Let's say you're getting a request for a 10 by 20 backlit exhibits within a certain price point. Rather than building it every single time, build it once, keep that URL, put it in a separate document. When a client comes to you and says, this is what I'm looking for, you have already done it, you've already got it, you can click on it and link it and go to it. because when you go to build that new gallery, it's going to wipe it. It's going to wipe that cookie off your machine, and you won't have it unless you copy that URL. All right. There's two buttons up here that I think are really important for you to know. One is Clear My Gallery, and Clear My Gallery does exactly what I told you to do. It's going to remove the cookie off of your computer, and it's going to be gone from your computer. Reset, a little confusing. What reset does, reset simply doesn't clear your gallery, it just takes you back to the home. Probably should say home instead of reset, but it just takes you back to the home page within there. All right. Tom and Harold, is there anything I missed, or are there any questions that we need to address? I went through that pretty quickly, but I tried to do a deep dive as well, so people really got some very specific tools that they can use every single day. Oh, hi, Jen, too. How about you, Jen? Sorry, I didn't know you were there.
No, it's all good. I have two things. I'm sorry if I'm echoing, but there was and I put it into the chat. I put the URLs into the chat, and then also when you print, I love the print feature, first of all, on any of the designs, and then also you have the print feature for any of the articles as well, the trade show tips and or the FAQs, but you can print to a PDF. So you can select the PDF option and print those to a PDF so that then you can email them to your clients as well. And so just another way of coming about to the same endpoint, right, of getting that information into the client's hands if you're not able to access the gallery feature or whatever the case might be. So a couple different options there.
All right, thanks, Jen. I always forget about the whole PDF, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Hey, Tom, do we have any questions, or anybody have any questions they want to add to the chat so we can answer them now? We still have a little bit of time. Tom, are you there?
Embarrassingly, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah, we haven't had any questions, Mel, at this point. Okay.
All right. Tom, is there anything that you wanted to add, any feature that you feel like you use on a consistent basis?
Well, I use the advanced search frequently as people will describe to me what they're looking for. I can go right to the advanced search and pin it down or narrow it down to, you know, what they may be looking for their clients to help out. So that's probably, in my opinion, the most important tool, as well as the access to the setups and graphic DEMs.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Harold, anything that you want to add?
Yeah, just briefly, Tom just said it, the last thing, the specs tab is probably one of the most utilized things that I go to in working with distribution. You may, if you would just take maybe 60 seconds and tell people why they might want to consider a branded site, as far as the differences between branded, using and having a branded site versus not having one.
All right. So a branded EDS, the major features of a branded EDS is, one, it's visually pretty much seamless on your site. So it's easy to add. It's simply a URL that's added to your site or added to your menu. We do all the work. We create it. We maintain it. You never have to worry about, do you have the most current designs? Do I have to add? Do I have to change the prices? Do I have to make any edits? All the things that you have to do with on your own site, those do not have to be done when you have a branded EDS site. We do all that for you on our end. In addition, the branded EDS site has certain tools within it. The ability to have a prefix, a modified prefix. The reason the modified prefix, you know, we've looked at some VKs kits and some GK kits on there. We modified the prefix in there to 1 or 2 alphanumeric numbers. So if someone's searching, let's say the classic kit is VK-1234, and your, you know, alpha exhibits is you can modify it to GKAE-1234. The reason that's important is when the client goes to search for that particular kit for GKAE1234, it drives them back to your branded website. But if they search for just GK-1234 or VK1234, it's going to kind of show many variations out there of the other EDS websites in the country. Now, one of the great things about that, though, that's not really a concern is 99.9% of all distributors honor classic MSRP. And the reason people are searching in the first place is they just want to see if they're getting a fair price on the exhibit that they're considering. And what they would find is that it's the same price wherever they go. They don't want to, if you're in Philadelphia, they don't want to buy it from someone from Denver. They want to buy it from you in Philadelphia. They just have to do their due diligence and make sure that the price is right and it's fair. The other thing with a branded website is the contact information is, if anybody fills out the contact information, send me more information, hook me up with the designer, all of those kind of things, that's going directly to the person or persons that you have designated as your contacts for your company. We have no visibility on it within your website, absolutely no visibility. When they fill out that form, that information goes direct to you. If they fill out the information on the unbranded site or on the classic site, then it becomes a little bit of guesswork because we don't know if a distributor had been working with that particular client before. We have to kind of puzzle through it, and we end up trying to send it to the most appropriate distributor on there. Now, some distributors, if they know a client is working on the unbranded site, they'll give us a call, they'll talk to their sales rep, they'll talk to someone in customer service and say, if you get an inquiry from someone looking for this particular kit out of Buffalo, for instance, that's my client. And we're happy to redirect them back there because we don't sell direct. So we would redirect them back to that particular client. Is there any other features? There's some other minor features, or they're kind of major features, but those are really the big features, I think. Anything else you can think of, Harold?
Well, I'm going to make an obvious statement. Just by having, let's say, a branded version on your website doesn't create sales. As a salesperson, you need to utilize the tools that Mel has shared by sending out links when somebody asks for price ranges or different design types. And if you use it regularly, your clients it works. But just having it on your site solo without utilizing what it offers, it might not help.